Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to come around and discuss certain concepts and performance appraisal, leveraging technology on needs. And like the previous speaker said, I was a bit surprised if it is me when when I'm listening to that readout. And I also want to say thank you to the previous speaker. He has actually highlighted most of the things I'm going to talk about, and I feel we may not spend much of time here. So before I start, let me say thank you to the management and all protocol duly observed. I will be talking on leveraging technology, and I will also appreciate if I get your attention because there are some questions that we need to, uh, you know, we all participate in it. Uh, Allow me to share my screen. Thank you. Please, can you confirm if you are able to see my screen, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay, here we are. Thank you. So the performance management or performance appraiser, we listened to the previous speaker on scaling business, and when we look at it critically, everything is geared towards productivity, increasing your income, reducing your costs, and scaling is like a two-edged sword. It could be positive if well managed, and it could be negative if not well managed. And I think the previous speaker really, trash those things for us to know. So, but before we start, I would like you to type into the chat, what do you understand, or what do you feel, or how do you think, or what does it mean to you, performance appraiser? What does performance appraiser mean to you as an individual? And I would appreciate if you can get your uh, if I can get your response. What does performance appraiser mean to you as a person? I'm waiting. Just few words. Performance appraiser to me is this, is that, and I'm looking at the chat if I can get response, but not yet. Do we have people on the call, please?
Yes, we are here.
Okay, so I just ask a question. That's what does performance appraiser mean to you? And I'm expecting response in the chat. Can we please uh, put something in the chat? What does it mean to us? Okay, I'm not seeing anything. Maybe I can go back. Okay, somebody said feedback mechanism. Thank you. Thank you. It means review of business activities or personnel. Thank you. The performance of, okay. Job performance and overall contribution to the organization. Thank you, Mr. Smart. Thank you, Mr. Francis. Yes, Charles. Thank you. Yes, measuring performance against set objective. Thank you. Checking the scores of your operations. Reviewing of, oh, thank you, Mr. Isaiah. I really appreciate this. Reviewing of one's strengths or weakness. Thank you. Oh, I think Mr. Isaiah, Elizabeth should be a woman. I'm sorry. Yeah, systematic way of assessing activities to measure results. Yeah, fantastic. So we're on the same page, and I will move forward to the next slide. But before I discuss this next slide, there is, excuse me, I have a survey here or a poll here that I want us to look at and respond to it so that we can start. So I just sent one poll. We have about 3 or 4 of them. If you were able to see it, please let me know. So the first poll has been sent. Kindly respond to it. So only first person has responded. I've sent the second poll as well. First poll was, does your organization conduct performance appraisal for its staff? We want to know. Only 5 people responded out of 40 plus on the call. That's not too good. Yes, we have 6 people now. We have 6 people now. So 5 people said yes. 1 person said no. The second poll said my organization performance appraisal process is automated. So out of 6 people, we have 4 people that said no, it's not automated. 1 person said it's partially or partly automated. Okay. And the last one, my organization performance process is transparent. Fantastic. 2 people say no. No, 1 person said it's neutral, it doesn't know. And 3 people agree. 2 people strongly agree. Okay. Fine. Thank you. So we can start. That gives me an understanding of the audience that I have. So performance appraiser is actually a periodic process. It is a process on its own. And from various contributions I get on the charts, also everything we are trying to do is we are trying to utilize organizational resources to the best interest of the organization. And when we say the organizational resources, we're talking about the people, the process, and the technology. People is actually the firm. The people are the firm, or the employees, the senior managers. They are the backbone of every firm, from the small scale business to the mid enterprise to the large organizations. So how you use these people and how you relate with these people will give us, or would probably give us some insights on how serious you are with your business. Okay. And there are so many conversations around someone that is very brutal. I wouldn't like to make mention of names. We have people that are working in certain areas. Yes, the organization is getting results, but the people are dying. It's not different from the Chinese approach to go minority, where people are being taken to the manufacturing sectors, forced labor. So, and when you look at the Go people, you go and study the way they work. Yeah, to the Western world is a forced labor. or maybe to the third world country, is a normal way of working, is a normal way of life. So every organization, no matter how small it is, must be built around people. It must be people focused. And so when you say people focus, those are the real stakeholders. Your customer, very important. Your staff, they are very, very important. So when you build your staff in such a way that any one of them can stand in gap whenever you are not around for a small scale business, you have actually succeeded in transforming your business in one way or the other. There's a book I like that, Build to Last. Very interesting book. So when you start a business, you should have a vision about that business. It's not a business that you start just because you want to make ends meet. The previous speaker talked about service and products. What is your product? What is your service? How is it affecting life? You have to look at it from that perspective. Then can that firm or can that a business that you build outlive you? If unfortunately, I mean, things happen, people die. So if you die today, or if anything happens, you are unable to continue the business. Do you have somebody that can continue with that business? And it's not a magic, it's a systematic approach. So how do you take people from ground zero to leadership to a situation or a place whereby they can make informed decision for the business? They can represent the business, or they can ensure that the business is turning out the output it's supposed to turn out. You need a real process, a standard process. The previous speaker talked about standard process. So if you have a standard process, I know many of us, we pay consultant, we write process, or if this happen, this should happen, this should happen. Or if care is not taken, it's just a document that you place somewhere, and you may be tempted to be doing some other things. And that is where technology comes in. So technology will help you to platform your strategy, your process to every members of your, to every staff of your organization. They should live by it. They should be able to digest it. One of the questions I would like to ask us, but unfortunately I couldn't help, is how many of us that we work for firms or work with various organizations actually live by the vision and the mission of that organization? It may be a very interesting question and interesting response as well. So first one is strategy. Your strategy in developing a robust performance appraiser must be fair, unbiased. It must be transparent. Performance appraisal process must not be biased. It must be transparent. And sometimes the culture of an organization determines how the process of performance will look like. I recall very well, when I implemented the solution for one of the banks in West African country, particular bank. And when I got there, so I wanted to sell my organization solution to them on performance, because but this is what actually happened. So we needed to come up with a model on our loss given defaults, and we've looked at everywhere. What can we do to ensure that we give them good model? And they didn't have good data. Then I just thought, okay, what if we make use of their recoveries? Let's go and check if they have data for recoveries. So I was taken to the head of recoveries. First thing I saw there was that what they call recoveries is not recovery. So when people get loan from you, and you have to send people to go and collect the monthly repayments or quarterly repayments, that's what they call recoveries. But that's not actually what we mean by recoveries in the model system. So we're talking about loans that are gone into default, and you are trying to recover at least part of the part of the money before you write it off. So in the department, it was in disarray. I was there waiting for the head of the department for more than 2 hours, and I was forced to ask my host, the CFO. I said, "Come, do you do performance appraisal in this place?" He said, "Yes, they do." And he showed me the Excel. I said, "Wow." And I tried to lecture him that, come on. And at that time, one of the Nigerian bank was becoming a threat to them. And there is no way they could match that Nigerian bank with the way the Nigerian bank was going. So, and I told them, I said, look, you need to institute a culture of performance here. And unfortunately, he replied to me that, well, they are not like Nigerian where everything is money, money, money. That it was a very funny response. So their culture is that family first. We'll ensure that we warn you several times if you don't deliver on the job that we give to you. And the last resort is to sack you. And they have a very strong labor law. So I'm talking about culture. So if your culture is bullish, your performance appraisal process will be tough. It will be inhuman. Imagine someone who has a migraine and is required to present or to develop a report. Someone that has a migraine is supposed to be at home sleeping. But because he knows or she knows that if he doesn't do that job, he will be on the lists of people that will be sacked when the next sacking list comes around. So that is a culture. And there is also other culture. I'm talking about strategy. We're talking about performance appraisal, empowering people. There is also a culture where you are not just interested in the numbers. Numbers is very important. Number is very good. That's the end goal. But there are factors that goes into that numbers. Someone that has mental health issue, maybe a young girl that has been in love for years, and all of a sudden the fiancé comes and say is no longer interested. There is no way she will have, 100% concentration. It is a place of work. People should be free to come and tell whoever they trust, preferably their manager, about the problem. I have an issue. I can't concentrate. And that shouldn't be a factor you will use against such individual that, look, I was expecting you at office yesterday. You didn't come because you said to you, are you the first person that they will cheat? Or are you the first person that that will lose his mother or his father? So there are people or there are organizations that what they do is to ensure that in fact, they invest so much in their employee to make sure that they are at peace, they are in good condition, right frame of mind, and they can get whatever they want to get from them. They can change them, make them to become what they thought they couldn't be. That is another process. So depending on your organization, depending on your orientation about leadership, depending on how you think human being, how you treat people, people shouldn't be a tool, shouldn't make people a tool that you use. People should be respected, people should be empowered, people should be, celebrated and motivated. And there must be, when people are not doing what's supposed to do, a difficult conversation. You must have a process that outline all these steps in your performance appraisal process. Remember, performance appraisal is a process on its own. Okay. And in that process also, you are thinking about indicators. And I've seen this as one of the major problems. At least I know of a company that had problem defining indicators, defining goals. As simple as you think that, objective, I want to do this, I want to do this next year, and I'm unable to do it. It's not that simple. It's not that simple when you get into the practice. Okay. MDs, operational managers, they get frustrated at the time. And when you have a system where there is a culture of the culture where the culture is not being transparent, where the culture is relaxed, where what you find in that kind of environment is you have few people doing much and more. And quite numbers of people are not doing anything. I think I've experienced that before. I recall very well. We wanted to uh, deliver a performance appraisal for a particular insurance bank, and we were almost molested by certain people in the lift by the way they talk. Because what we were coming to do was to ensure that whatever you do is being reported, and what you do will be the yardstick for your promotion, bonus, and compensation. But some people don't like it because the way they are structured, the way the organization is structured, the culture of the organization is that few people, are working. There's a Nigerian saying, bamboo they walk, something they chop, I can't remember, you know. So strategy is very important. The way you develop your strategy, end results. What do you want to achieve with your performance appraiser? How do you want to treat people with your performance appraiser? After all, it is the people that will execute your strategy. And when they execute your strategy, either to give your customers the product that they want, either to ensure that they respond to defects. As at when the previous speaker talked about building an hub, and you have some people that are thinking about, they are thinking, they're having a mentality that this is how the customer think. No, you have to listen to the customer. You have to build a strategy around that. And the next one will be what will drive your strategy? The technology. And that will ensure that you have an operational efficiency, through automation and optimization of the process that you have designed. So technology is the key. From the app that you send, the app that you use, WhatsApp, to the Facebook, to the Instagram, to social media, whatever you call it, and even to the little, sometimes we don't appreciate Excel, the power of Excel, to that Excel that you use. Okay, so it depends on how you use it. Technology is powerful. Technology will ensure that your strategy is amplified. You get to where you are going on time. Then the leadership. Leadership is very key, and I'm not going to be talking. I'm not going to be addressing it. But in performance appraisal, the leadership skills is very, very important. Who are the people that you put in performance appraisal? Do they have the necessary skills? Are they able to evaluate your process? Do they operate open door policies? Okay. And also, you have deployed technology for your performance appraisal. Is that kind of evaluation that tells you that that technology is actually suitable? I'm going to spend a lot of time here because others we just run through it, and I'll give you live scenarios. So let's talk about how effective is the process. If a process cannot be automated, if a process cannot be modeled, if a process cannot be represented through simple flow diagram, then there is a problem. There is a problem. You must be able to understand end-to-end process. If it is too complex, you need to break it down to manageable pieces. If a process is too complex, break it down. And sometimes you can have a good process, but you have a bad technology. It does happen. And you may have a good strategy, good process, you have a bad technology, and you can have a good technology and you have a bad process. So then leadership, again, comes in. What are you able to do when scenarios like that surface? Okay. And the previous speaker talked about the scaling. Leadership is also important. There are times that it is painful to ask people to go at work. When I say ask people to go, your service is no longer required. It is painful for whoever write that letter. It is painful to the person that is receiving that letter. But the truth is the business has to move on. And you have done that, and considering the best interest of a business, not because you are attacking the person, not because the individual has offended you, not because you were given a target by the management. I say, how many people are in your department? We have 10. We need to downsize. We need 3 people to go. It must be fair. It must be just transparent. And when you ask people to go, of course, it's not that you are wicked, but you have to check if you are truly not wicked. Okay. So, and that will take me to the next slide. Performance appraisal. Why do we need to do performance appraisal? And what is the process of performance appraisal? One is goal setting. And like I said, goal settings can look so simple. I know there are so many models that people use in setting their goals. So as a personal, privately or as a person, not even as an organization, you must have a goal of what you want to do per time on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, and on a yearly basis. And maybe for some range of years. By 45, I want to be this. By 46, I want to be this. By 50, I like to be this. You must be able to set goals. And from my experience, when it comes to business, or some of the things I've also seen is people set unachievable goals, unrealistic goals. Let me use that word, unrealistic goals. And sometimes management also comes with unrealistic goals. And that is where I'm talking about people not being used as a tool, but people being respected and motivated. Okay. So you have to set a goal that is realistic. It's very, very important. So if you are a manager, you know someone in your team and is setting, you know the strength of this individual. You have worked with them. And they're setting an unrealistic goal. You should be able to advise them politely. Words matter. The way you talk to people. And that's why I like Yoruba people very well. I'm a Yoruba man. And I think Yoruba philosophy probably is I'm being biased now, maybe one of the best philosophy in the world. Okay. So goal setting is very important. Don't set an unrealistic goals for people. The Yoruba will say, the world can bring out swords or cola nuts. Let me put it that way. Okay. So as a manager, how do you talk to your subordinates? I don't like using the word subordinates because it actually looks like an imperial style of management. Your colleagues, how do you talk to them? You're not on the same grade, but how do you talk to them? How do you convey messages to them? How do they feel free to talk to you? So when someone sets unrealistic goals, remember that the tiny unmet goal of that individual affects the bottom line. So you have to be thinking in line with the bottom line. Every time that is wasted, every word that is spoken to an individual that make them to be demoralized affects the bottom line. There is no way someone that is not is not fully concentrated will give you the maximum output. Imagine if that person is highly concentrated and you have about 3 people in your team that are highly concentrated and they give you the output you are looking for. In fact, beyond your expectation. So how you communicate with people, you have to be very careful about it as a manager, and also the colleagues, those that look up to people or that are manager ahead of them. how you also, be open. You should be open about your goal. You know your limitation when you are setting the goal. Okay. So I'm talking about the process of performance appraisal. Then data gathering. This is the most tedious part of it in technology. How do you gather data? Remember, I talked about the strategy process, then we talked about technology, then we talked about the leadership. Now look at it. If I am the CEO of a company, or I'm a consultant to a company, for instance, and they call me that they want to revolutionize their internal process. They want to invest in their people. They want to invest in their training. They are they care about their mental health. They care about what happened, outside work to their employees. They care so much about their employees that they know that if they can invest in their employee, the return on investment is going to be huge, because what it means is that they're going to, the employee is going to reciprocate same to the customers. They will service the customer better, and everybody will be happy. It's a win-win. Okay. So if I'm going to do this as a technologist, I'll be thinking of so many things, so many requirements. And it is most likely possible that the company does not have all those requirements. Let me give you an example. For instance, I will be interested in the Facebook posts of an employee. I will be interested in uh, the description or the purpose that the employee is taking a leave. I want to be interested. You are entitled to maybe 15 days working, 15 working days in a year for a leave, but you could also have an emergency leave. Maybe something happened. You must be truthful, because remember, I talked about culture. One of the things that many organizations fail to do is to instill their culture in people. Some don't even have one. Some are confused, and some have very fantastic culture, but unfortunately, it does not resonate with the employees. Okay, so one of the great virtues or things that I respect people for is integrity. You don't have to lie, because when you lie small, the next time you're going to sustain that lie, and before you know it, you become a big liar. Okay, so people should be accountable for whatever they do. So data gathering, I will be thinking of the social posts of that individual. I'll be thinking about the holiday that you want to take. So let's say, for instance, you take an holiday to go to the clinic, and I have an application that you have to fill. You have to book. We have a system that you have to book that you are going to clinic. Hypothetically, let's say you have that as a company, and I'm your consultant, or you don't even have it. But maybe that's one of the things that will be proposing to you, that you need to have a system where your employee needs to capture their leave and the purpose of taking that leave. So from that information, because the world is turning to a digital, if I'm not turning, the world is already a digital world. It's already a data. So there is also for every individual, from Shaki to Omuaran, from Omuaran to Ishoko, you have digital footprints. Even in the thick forest that you have it, unless you are not using mobile phone, or you are not on internet, or you don't have a bank account. Everyone. So if you key in your holiday and the purpose of taking that holiday, you cannot leave this blank. I have to know. Why am I collecting that information? I want to know. I want to be proactively engage you, not reactively. Okay. The management would like to proactively engage you. What is going on? You have been taking leave, you have been going to the clinic. What is the problem? Can I understand? And unfortunately, in a closed system, or in a system where people are not free to talk, someone wouldn't want to, say that, because it might be used against him or her, that, no, don't consider him for promotion. No, no, no. Okay, it should be in the next list of people that will be sacked, because he doesn't have the stamina to do the job, even when the sickness is just a temporary sickness, not a terminal disease, right? So if I have a company that approach me and are interested in those indicators or those metrics, I will be very glad, you know, to draw and design something that will capture people's health, people's, their presence on the social media, their understanding about the culture, then the training that they achieve and stuff like that. And one of the things that data gathering will also help us to do is to create an insight. Someone can be a performer in your team, but he may not be a very good leader. He may not be a very good leader. The data will tell us. But if what you use as a yardstick for leadership promotion is somebody that is consistently meeting targets, then I'm sorry, that model will probably fail one day, because that individual will one day do something that will discourage your next, what's the name of this iPhone guy, Steve Jobs. And I will conclude this slide by saying something. I'll just rush through the thing. Before COVID, so I have a colleague. He's a friend, not my colleague at work. He's a friend. So he works with a software company in Nigeria. And before COVID at all started in China, so this individual was living in a very, very traffic-prone area. Sometimes he would leave home around 5 o'clock, get to work 11 o'clock, sometimes 12 o'clock, And this has been going on for more than 3 months. So at the time he lost his sleep, he couldn't sleep very well because he had to leave home by 5 o'clock and get to work by 12 o'clock. One day he was in the traffic, everywhere was standstill, and he saw that he couldn't move. He was in that place until 1 o'clock. He just got to the office and came back home. He couldn't do anything. And because he couldn't do anything that day, he slept, and something came up to his mind and said, come, what if we start working from home? Is anything going to change? And he wrote a mail, sent the mail to his director. I'm talking before COVID was discovered in China. And this incident occurred in Nigeria. And he sent the mail. And when he sent the mail to the director, it was outrightly rejected. That no, we can't allow it. And this poor guy continued working, And before you know it, I think maybe after 5 months, COVID struck. And after maybe 6 or 7 months, I think Nigeria also joined the world, locking down. Do you know how many millions of naira the organization lost? Because it was challenging at first. Imagine if the organization has accepted that information through performance appraisal process. This individual is talking about, this is what we can do, this is what is possible, open policy, culture. I'm still talking about culture. Imagine how much they will have made in helping other organizations to navigate that storm, because it was chaotic. And I know many people, especially some foreign countries, that provided consultancy services because they started before we in Nigeria. But imagine that organization has taken the clue from an accident or from an event that is affecting the health of one of his employee, and take that opportunity. Okay, this guy is having issue with his health because he couldn't access roads to come to work. Okay, what do we do? Okay, maybe we can allow him to work from home. Okay, so open policy is a very great, it's a good way to go when you are considering performance appraisal. So the next one is review and evaluation. Yes, you have the data, you have different data coming from different places. What are the metrics? How do you evaluate them? Some indicators are not just worth having. Some indicators may not be applicable to everyone. Okay, the indicators you are going to use for the CEO will be appraised by the stakeholders. Really, the indicators will be used for a functional manager. It's different from the indicators you use for the team members. Okay, then the feedback and discussion. Feedback is very important. I've talked about it. Open discussion. Add conversation. You are not doing this right, but you can improve. You are not getting it right, but I believe in you. Okay, not you are good for nothing. You can't get this thing done. I don't know how you even made it to this company. No such derogatory and negative, morale pull down conversation or choice of words should be discouraged if you really want to make people to achieve, you know, high productivity in the place of work. Then documentation and follow up. Yes, that's very important. You need a technology for all these processes, all these steps that I have on the slide there. You must have a process. You must have a technology that support them from the SharePoint where you have all your goals. Your company policies, operations, questions and answer, and stuff like that, to an enterprise resource. It could even be a single uh, application, that help you to capture the goal settings and also allow you to have a feedback from uh, people. So the feedback can come from customer. It could be in form of text message. The feedback can come from, it could also be from social media. You have a product and everybody is commenting on you about your product. So you could come up with a sentiment analysis to see whether your people are doing very well at delivery. If you are from IT background, if you are in manufacturing, is a product that you roll out, does that make sense to people? Are people actually buying into it? Or is that a real competitor for you? In fact, it helps you to know where you are in the market, okay? Counting on the feedback of the customers. So, and in some organizations too. So customer doesn't mean somebody that is external. It could be within the organization. Imagine as an auditor, you have two teams, okay, team A and team B, and you are in the same place. One is doing financial auditing. Maybe the other one is doing system auditing. So there may be a need to service one or the other. Then at that point, you become a customer to someone, and the other one become, the service giver. Okay, so what is the feedback you'll be getting from the customer? I am your colleague, and we are working on the same project. I need to also give you feedback to you. Feedback around your leadership skill, feedback around how you comport yourself. Are you able to manage tense situation? Are you able to manage crisis? Are you able to, different, come up with different things I can give feedback on about you? And this feedback, information don't get lost. They are kept. A serious manager or a serious management will consider this information in promotion and in suggesting you for leadership position. That's about documentation. And next slide is just a high process flow, of a performance appraiser. So you're setting goals, you align your goal with the KPI of the company. And there are so many, there are two interesting parts that I would like us to talk about. The goals will be approved, and we look at the qualitative and quantitative information. How much do you bring? It's a strong indicator for us as a marketer. I want to know how much you bring. Okay, so you're a credit officer. How much you bring is good, but how much you also give out? You can't bring 1 billion and you probably give out 5 million, and you are saying you are a top performer. No. So there must be metrics, and that is what we do in performance evaluation. Then the qualitative information, I've taken a lot of time to talk about that. Then we check, is your goal? Can we say you have met your goals? Okay, fine. If you have met your goals, you are Christian Ronaldo or Cristiano Ronaldo, okay, you have the Champions League. Okay, let's clap for you. But if you don't, say, okay, root cause analysis. Why haven't you met your goals? And some of this information that we need to determine, or the root that will tell us the root cause analysis of you not meeting the goals, they're already in the system because we've captured them. Okay. Quarter one, you're unable to meet up. Quarter two, someone gave a review about you or a feedback about you that you don't have a good attitude when people ask you questions. Therefore, nobody wants to see you on the project. And it is only when you are in the project that you can bring in money. Okay. Or as a marketer, someone tells us that you have a problem with communication. You cannot really articulate what you are selling. And therefore they are lost. They don't even know what you're selling. So we already know that you have a challenge in the system. We have all this information. Okay. So if you have all this information, one thing for us as a management, and that's also take us back to the culture, is to say, oh, this person is not suitable for our environment. We need to discard him like a pack of cards. We need to let him go. That's one. Other thoughts, some other people, it all depends on the management style and what you want to achieve and how you see people. If you see people as a tool, well, and if you see people as assets, there's another way. Then maybe there's something unique about this individual. Maybe you just need to be trained to be a very good communicator. Maybe maybe there are some things that are just going on in his life or her life that need to be addressed. Maybe he needs a rest, like 6 months off work. If your policy say he's not going to be paid for 6 months, fine. That is what we call art conversation. When you discover the root cause analysis. My friend, I look at the information I have with me concerning you. I can see all the data. I can see everything. And from what I'm seeing, I can tell you that you need a rest from this work. We're not sacking you. We just want to give you like a 6-month rest. Go home and rest. Take rest. We can see from our analysis, you are going through this, you are going through this, you are going through this. You probably will not be able to be coordinated to do this job. Go and rest. And if the person is sincere to himself, he will take it. Okay? And will come back better. And if he needs a training, you offer him a training. But there is a point in physics, we call it breaking points. There is a point at which you have to let go. When you have exhausted everything. And some of these things I'm talking about, it may not be possible for a small scale business or a business that is just coming up. Because a business that is just coming up, you need strong people to drive the business. You need strong presence. You are fighting hard to ensure that things happen. But the problem is this: if you don't also build those processes as a small business, okay, no matter how small the process, it may not be, it may not be that. You may not even be using the big system. It may not be that big, but no matter how small it is, there must be intention. There must be a determination to ensure that you have this type of process in place. Because from my experience, what happens is when you have a startup and one person is doing about 6 or 7 jobs, and they get to a point where they are well known and they want to scale up. At the point of scale up, there's what we call culture inertia. There are some people that have become an institution when you were little, when you were small. I used to tell my colleagues that, do you know that there are some people that are more powerful than the CEO of a company, even in the same company? Okay? No matter the transformation agenda that the CEO has that he want to implement, they will frustrate it. Why? Because they see that transformation as a threat to what they are doing. Okay. So before I digress, let me land the point. So as a small business, you need to have all this process in place. Because when you transist from being small to big, you probably will be looking for a consultant to help you. And there's no amount of consultancy that will save you, except you take a bold step. So you may not be practicing it very well, but at least put it in place. Be practicing it. It's different from not being practicing it. And I also share the same sympathy with those who resist change, because a fish has been in the pond for years, and all of a sudden you take it out, say you should go to a salty water, it will resist. Okay. I recall we did an implementation for a particular insurance company on financial reporting. It was a big implementation for them and for their size. Okay. And including performance management to get their numbers. At the time, it was a tug of war where the project was supposed to take 6 months, but it will be shocking to let you know that we spent 2 years in that environment because we barely get nothing. We barely get no support. I mean, we couldn't just get it from them. And why? Because some accountants believed that by pressing the keyboard, sleeping in the office, that is what shows the management that they are dedicated. They will be looking for one leg in reinsurance, another one from payable, and they move everything. The account is not balanced. Let's move it to suspense. That kind of a thing. You know the language more than I do. So before we came, the account department, about maybe I think there are about 10 or 5 people that are working there. Only 2 people are actually active, and they will sleep in the office. End year account is almost a tug of war. Okay, so we came to automate the process, and there was a resistance, very big one, because someone felt we are taking over his job. Okay, and that is where the culture and the organization approach to transformation comes in. Before transformation, you need to sit down your top management. You need to let them key into that vision. If they don't key into that vision, it can't move ahead. Let's take Nigeria, for instance. I was a supporter of President Muhammadu Buhari in his first term. And why did I support him? I recalled that getting admission, that's one of the craziest things. Getting admission into Nigeria University was a tug of war. So I was going from one place to another. I remember I went to University of Calabar. Probably I could get admission there. But of all the university that I went to, I always see PTTF, Petroleum Trust Fund, this building built by, and I was like, what is PTTF? I got to know, okay, who is heading it? Buhari. Even exercise book to every nooks and crannies of Nigeria University. That was what gave me that decision. Like, okay, I think this guy will work. And I can tell you that he actually had good intention to transform Nigeria in whatever. He may have his own problem. I don't doubt that one. But I didn't support him the second time, if you like to know. Okay. But what I'm saying is, down the ladder, there are people that are frustrating policies. And until we are all on the same page, I don't know how many managers are here on the call, or how many CEOs are here on the call, or you have a business, a small business, and you are planning to take that business up. Please put it at the put it at the back of your hand that whenever you want to do transformation, make sure that that vision is shared with your management, with every member, of your workforce. It's very important. Let there be consensus. Let them buy into it, and you'll be shocked that you can travel, you can go on vacation. Before you come back, they will have done it, rather than policing them. Who has not given you data? Those are like the experience that we had. We want to do transformation. We are looking for scripts. We are looking for data. We are looking, and those who are supposed to give it to us, they deliberately did not give to us. And sometimes they will give incorrect one deliberately. Transformation. So, and whoever able to meet his goals, bonus, promotions, training, everything is not about increasing people's salary. No, you have to create a conducive environment for people. And, money is very good, yes, but ensure that they have dignity when they are working for you. Then documentation is is the core of it, because without documentation of what has happened, you won't be able to make informed decision, or you won't be able to even project on what next I need to do. So I talk about goals approved. Now let's look at it. Whenever we are implementing performance appraisal in banks and insurance company and some financial institutions, you always come across this. It's always like a functional structure. Let me put it that way. So the functional structure, we all know it. Everybody, you report to a particular person, and that person reports to someone else or to the head of department. And in that approach, we conducted a poll. We said, do you think that your performance appraiser is fair? Someone said no. I don't think someone, a lot of people, from the poll said no, it wasn't fair. Okay. Why do you think it is not fair? Those who designed the process did not envisage that it will be biased, it will be unfair. But people take opportunity. Okay. So when you have a process whereby you report, it's one person that determines what happens to you. You are subject to, paying lip service. You may not like the individual, but you just want to respect him to get whatever you want to get. You are not yourself. You are caged. So if you are a manager here, or you are, a process designer, or you are a business automation person, have it at the back of your mind. So when you are doing performance appraisal, try to innovate, try to change from what you know to to probably, experiment and see how it goes. So this structure, if I'm reporting to my manager, I have to be obedient to my manager, even when my manager is wrong. In that arrangement, there is no candid discussion. It's a system of intimidation, so to say. So the manager decides your promotion. So if you are the type that you are opinionated, you want to ask why. I like the first speaker talking about why. Some people hate you asking why. Just do as I say. Transfer that money. Why do we have to transfer this money to this person? He hasn't done anything for us. I said transfer that money. Is either you obey or you fall out of favor. But let's go to the next one. Form of a matrix structure. Your functional manager does not only determine your promotion. Your functional manager does not only determine your appraiser. Someone else does. It's a combination of what he says and what the other person also says. Okay? And they also don't get, it's not subjective. It's highly objective, because they will rely on data. But the functional structure may be highly subjective. So when you have a matrix structure whereby, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you and the person are in the same department. You could be in a different department. You could be in treasury and the other person is in compliance. He doesn't need to know your day-to-day activities. He doesn't need to know what you do. But when you are setting goals, he knows your strength. He will be the one to approve your goals because he has had a conversation with you. And that conversation is productive conversation. Your functional manager is responsible for your day-to-day activities. And the day-to-day activities that you have are tailored or in alignment with the goals that you have set. And so at the end of the year, or maybe quarterly, or whatever time the frequency you peak, you all meet. You meet your functional manager. Am I doing well? Yes, you are doing well, but your character is not good. Oh, my dummy or my dotted line manager, am I okay? Yeah, from what I've seen, I think you are fine, but I think you need to work on your relationship with people. They're saying the same thing in different way. Okay. So then we have all these processes laid down. We spend a lot of money with this process. Um, how do we use technology to drive it? I've talked about, talked about technology way, but I came across this, and we used to call him father of computer, and I love it, and because I have experienced it. So the first rule of any technology used in a business is that automation applied to an efficient operation will magnify the efficiency. The second is that automation applied to an inefficient operation will magnify the inefficiency. I spoke about an insurance company that we implemented some time ago, and maybe about 8 years ago or 10 years ago. The CFO then told me that probably that was one of their biggest projects. So along the line, maybe 2 years later, they jettisoned the system. And so as an implementation consultant, if someone jettisoned or if someone abandoned your project, your work, your product, you feel bad. Of course, you've made your money, but you feel bad. Apart from you taking the AMC, the glory that is there, that I did this for these people, I did this for these people, you're probably not going to be able to claim it. So when I did a fact finding, because, and how did I get to know? Though we did not have an efficient systems that help us to know whether the customer are using our applications then. So what we know then was that, okay, we made a call. It's 10 years really. So we made a call. How far? You guys are not coming. You're not calling me for support. What is the problem? Then you visit the site. We get to know. We work with what we have then, and that's a very key important. Not everything that we spend money on technology. The previous speaker talked about the time to scale, and that is very important. Okay, so we probably could have bought a solution then that will help us, and there will not be return on investment. But we adopted, kind of a method, and we're able to get to get the job done. So they abandoned the system, and when they abandoned the system, I felt bad, and I asked myself just two questions: Is our solution good? And if our solution is good, why are they not using the system? So in my mind, I felt our solution was not good. But over the years, having read several reports, especially AI is a new thing now, and I find out that no, the solution, and it would be wrong for me to say our solution was not good then. Maybe I'm being myopic, because there are other companies that were using their solutions and they never complained for one day. Okay, apart from normal support, but this company abandoned the solution. So, but later I found out that look, it is their strategy, it is their system. If you don't have an efficient system, no matter how much you spend on the technology, it's a waste. It will magnify that inefficiency. But if your process is efficient, it's like a catalyst. And a very good example that comes to mind is Kuda Bank. If you look at Kuda Bank and you look at what's the name of this other microfinance bank? Is it Lapo? I can't. I don't know if I'm right, but if I pronounce it well, I know Kuda Bank, and I know, yes, Lapo. Kuda Bank has grown its customer base to over 7 million as a last year or two. Maybe they are around 10 or only God knows. We can't get that data now. And how did they manage to do it? They don't have a branch in Ibadan. I don't think so. I don't think they have a physical branch in Ibadan, or they have physical branches all across Lagos. But if you look at Lapo, you have Lapo in every places. Okay, although their market targets may be a bit different, but I'm talking about efficiency, and the use of technology. How Kuda Bank has used technology to drive business presence. Okay. Then there's also another microfinance bank that I know. I think ABC. It's been very, these are first big microfinance bank that you think about in Lagos then. Okay, so where are they today? So when you talk about microfinance bank, the first that came to your mind, that will come to your mind is Kuda Bank. All right. Then Flutter Waves too. Okay, it's a company of interest. Okay. So let's look at some numbers. Numbers don't lie. So when you leverage technology on your process, some of the companies that have leveraged technologies on their projects, leverage technology on their process, especially when they have the right strategy. Okay. When they have the right strategy, there is no technology without strategy. If you have a strategy that is faulty, there is no way the technology will help you. Okay. So various big corporations, and this is, it's a public information that you can find in some of these Financial Times. Okay. And I can share you the link if you want to see, get them. So customer experience, they experienced up to 20 basis point of NPS. Okay, 10 to 20 positive. The share price increases by 10%. The colleague experienced, in terms of job satisfaction, they are not just working. Sometimes people sleep, and it's on Monday morning or Tuesday morning, say, I'm still going to that work again. I'm going to see that manager again. Very toxic environment. Okay. But with the use of technology and right strategy, some of these companies, their staff reported that they experience, improvements in job satisfactions and capacity creation. How long, or in terms of saving times for the routine task, some of them reported about 25% of their times were saved. Imagine you in this generation still have to be looking for a transaction, okay, in Excel. So, okay. Then the productivity grows by 15%. These are numbers when people or when organizations leverage technology. And it doesn't have to be big technology. It doesn't have to be AI technology. It doesn't have to be, simple routine task that you can. Hello? Am I audible, please?
Yes, you are. You're audible,
Okay.
sir.
Okay.
Yes, you are.
I'm about to finish. Thank you.
Okay.
So, and so for technology part of it, this is a reference architecture. I talk about process, and some of this process, the data you collect from each of these process, they reside in different places, in different databases. So there's a need for you to bring them together, and you ingest them, then you put them in what we refer to as a data warehouse. So think of data warehouse as like a store, or a factory where you have all, you have all your goods and services put in there. Then you have a way of trying to say, okay, this is what department A needs, this is what department B needs, because everything still boils down to, you want to see real-time analytics. You want to see what is going on in the firm. You want to see what is going on in the team, at the team level, at the departmental level, and maybe you have branches at the branch level, whatever you want to say. Okay, so this is kind of a reference architecture. that also put into consideration the governance, okay, process, and the security, and as well the platform in terms of you are making use of the either on premise or you are hosting your process or your performance appraisal process on the cloud. And we may not be able to do this because of the time. I have a case study for us, okay, and it's a very simple one. So you have a credit officer who feel that that there's a problem with his portfolio, and he has this analytics, okay. So the case study is you have this analytics, different profession. You have a portfolio for different profession, ABC, XYZ, and stuff like that. And the red one is the default, while the blue one is the portfolio. And you also have this also analytics. So you are comparing the total population of maybe the data you are able to see or get, the population of each profession in the city where you reside, compare to the one that are your customers. So for instance, ABC is around 12,000 people, and you only have 1,000 as a customer, okay? So let's say ABC is like doctors, and so you have 1,000 doctors as customers, but you are able to get from doctors database that you have 12,000 certified doctors, registered doctor rather, that are living in your city. The same thing maybe for teacher, for lecturers, and artisans, for instance. So the job of the CIO is to look at all these analytics and infer, what do I need? What do I need to do? What do I need to do with this information? So because of the time, we will not be able to go into it. But what comes to mind is, look, why do I have so many defaults with YUW? And why is it that YUW are the one that are more, my presence or the customer presence or my presence with YUW profession is high compared to the other one? Okay, so you need to sit down, think about what you need to do in terms of maybe you need to develop a marketing strategy to be able to focus on certain profession that will ensure that your portfolio becomes more lively. Okay, and I think I'm not sure. Maybe that is what Kuda is doing, because when you look at Kuda Bank, some of the people that I know in Nigeria that are professional, when I talk to them, they have Kuda Bank accounts. I rarely see any accountant that I know as a friend that has Lapo accounts. But when I talk to people from, let's say, Ekiti, Ondo, that are artisan, you always hear them that, oh, I get a loan from Lapo, I want to use it to do a business. Okay, so I read from Kuda website that they're coming up with overdrafts. I don't think somebody that sells vegetable in Ojo markets will want to get an overdraft. But an accountant, a doctor, in case of, may decide to say, oh, let me get a Kuda bank. Let me get a Kuda account so that I can get an overdraft when I need it. Okay. And you are so sure there is a bit of, kind of probability of default is a bit, a bit low. A bit low. No reasonable accountant or reasonable lecturer will want my customer service to be calling them, you haven't paid your bills, you haven't paid your loan. No, nobody. No, I don't think anyone like that. So it may be small, but look at the fees they will collect. We are talking about bottom line. We are talking about technology, and they don't need to have their presence in Ibadan. Just technology. You can be at the comfort of your house, process your loans, and move on. So this, I would like to hand it here and hand over to Mr. Sean. I couldn't finish because of time. If you have any question, I think maybe when Mr. Shen is done, then you can ask. Thank you very much.